Hey folks, welcome back to this tutorial for our very first game. This is the 6th installment. Today we're going to take on creating a fireball shooter, the fireballs that come out of it, and hitting the player with those fireballs. So go ahead and click on your game project. First thing we're going to want to do is go into your sprites and create a new sprite, and we're going to name it S Shooter. And then we will edit the image. It's going to be 16 by 16 in size. And then you can click edit image. So we're really just going to draw a nice gray block with with a black hole on the side. And make sure that it is the right side. So that looks symmetrical-ish. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. If you want, you can even get that black line and hit the L key with a small brush and do a line around it just to kind of harden its edge and show that it's a thing. And this will be our fireball shooter. It's important that that hole is on the right hand side because that's where the fireballs are going to come out of. So you make it how you want, but this is my own rendition right there. And if you want to get crazier, you can hold Control, grab the color of gray, make it a little bit darker using this slider. And you can fill in those sides a little bit darker, just some artistic touch to it. So we've got the shooter. Right click over here and create another sprite in your sprite folder. And we're going to call this S Fireball. Again, 16 by 16 in the size. And go to edit image. So grab your circle brush, maybe this one here, and try to get that pretty close to the center. Fill it in with orange. Go back to your brushes, grab a small one, do some red. And that looks good. And then grab some yellow. And that looks good. There. And then what you can do is copy it. Right click here, copy, and paste it with Control V, or you can right click here and paste it. And then just make it look like this ball is spinning. So just redo the colors so it looks different than the frame before it. And do the same thing for the third frame, and 3 frames should be good. Grab the red. And really, we're just making it look like the ball spun a little bit. So again, get artistic and creative. So it kind of looks like it's cruising here. Now on the left-hand side of it, just grab a little bit of color, give it a little trail. Doesn't have to be anything insane, just to show that the fireball is traveling to the right. And that looks okay. There we go. So that's good enough for me. So let's go back to the workspace again. Now we've got these 2 sprites open. We're going to change the origin to be the center. Middle center and middle center. And one thing we'll want to do with this fireball is change the collision mask, because we only want the the ball part of it to actually hurt the player. So go collision mask, and right now it's actually the whole thing. So click manual. Oh, actually it was just the top corner for some reason. So right there would be where we want it, so that it will only collide with the player if it's that little ball portion. So again, that's right under the collision mask section here. Change it to manual, and you could enter the pixel numbers where you want these corners to be, but it's pretty simple to just drag it around. So now we've got our fireball, we've got our shooter. Let's create the shooter object. Go to your objects, right click, create object. We're going to call it O shooter. And we're going to drag the sprite of the shooter into it. So now we've got our shooter object. It is visible. It is technically a solid, but we're going to handle that in another way. One thing we'll change in here is go to the parent section. And just like we made the walls, we're going to give this a parent as well. So the parent is opar wall, because it's just going to be a block where the player can't travel through. So now we'll go into our room game and we can place it. Now what we're going to do here is drop it, let's say right here in line with the key, and we're going to flip this thing with the rotation here 180. What rotation does is it changes the image angle of the object. So now that it's facing 180, we can make the fireballs shoot accordingly. So go ahead in your objects again, and we're going to right click. We're going to create an object, and this one is the fireball. So O, fireball. And drag that sprite over. Ooh, don't do that. Drag the sprite over. And now we've got a fireball sprite. So with the fireball, we just want it to move. So we're going to go to add event, create. This is going to be where we define the object. So I'm just going to put init for the description. And speed is the only thing I really want to change here. Equals 3. And that should do it. I think that's good there. So let's exit the fireball object. Now the shooter has a bit of code to it. So we're going to go add event, create, init, and we're going to set the alarm for the shooting to happen. An alarm is basically a timer, like a timer on your phone, but it ticks and then it lets things happen once that alarm has gone off. So just type alarm, square bracket 0. So we're setting the 0 alarm to room speed and semicolon there. So what that means is room speed is basically 1 second in the number of frames that you have. So if it's a 60 frame per second game, room speed is equal to 60. So in 60 frames, it has been 1 second. So room speed should be 1 second, which means alarm 0 will tick once in the first second of the game after this is created. And then we'll have to reset it. So copy that. You can just right click, copy, go to add event, and we're going to add an alarm event. And this is the code that will happen when you have when that timer is ticked. So you can change the description to shoot fireball, and then go ahead and paste that code, Control V, or you can right click, paste, and we're resetting the alarm because once that timer is ticked, we want it to be able to shoot a fireball again. So room speed. Now we're going to make it create a fireball. So var inst equals instance create layer x, y, and then the instance layer we're creating it on. So this line here is going to create the fireball. And we're naming that fireball inst so that we can change its variables after we've created it. So instance create layer, we're creating it at x and y, which is the center of our shooter object. And we're creating it on the instance layer in room game. So this layer over here on the top left. So we've got to type that in quotations, instances, and we're creating the object. You can see down here at the bottom, it's telling us what we need. The object we're creating is fireball. Now we want that fireball to move. So we're going to use some built-in variables for that. So depending on which way we have turned our fireball shooter when we created it, over here, right now its image angle is 180. So we want it to shoot depending on that number. So let's do some if statements. I'm going to comment shoot right, which it's not, but maybe in the next level it will. So if image angle equals 0, inst dot image angle equals image angle. No, you know what, we can actually just take that out because that's going to be in every single scenario. It'll always be equal to the image angle. So paste that right up there. And you can comment that set set rotation of fireball. So now if image angle is equal to 0, we want to move our fireball from the center of our block here, from the center. We want it to be on the right hand side. So x plus equals 16. And then what we can do is do that for each scenario. So if we're shooting right, so if image angle equals 0, else if image angle equals 90, which would be up, then we want our y to minus equal 16, which is subtracting from the y, so it's going closer to that 0. And then else if image angle equals 180, which is shooting to the left, we would be subtracting from the x, minus equals 16. And then else if image angle equals 270, so that would be down, we want to add to the y plus equals 16. So now we have every scenario that we would be doing, up, down, left, and right. Shoot, that is up, shoot left, and shoot down. Now, one other thing we have to do is set the speed of the fireball. So we already know that we've got its proper position. We've rotated it to look the right way. Let's type in inst.speed equals inst.speed. So we've set the speed of our object, which is the speed, the green speed here. That's the built-in variable for speed. So we're setting that to be, that's the actual object's built-in speed. We're setting that to our custom speed now, so it should be 3. And then we want inst.direction to be equal to image angle. So now the direction of that speed will be the image angle. So if it's facing up, that will be the direction of the speed. That will be where it's traveling. So at this point, it should function properly. So let's just go ahead and stop the game and run the game and see if we've done it properly. Oh, there we go. So, so it looks like it's a hopping fireball box, but I know exactly what that is doing, and you can exit out of your game. And you can get in the way if you want. Oh, now we can't move because we're stuck in it. There we go. So let's get out of there so I know exactly what happened. What we did here, when we said shoot right, we told it x plus equals 16. That's actually adding to the box's x. So you'll want to put inst.x because we want to change the fireball's x and y. So inst.y, inst.x, inst.y. So now if we run that again, we should not have a hopping fireball box. Hopefully. So there we go. Now it's shooting nice and proper. Now I should hopefully be able to grab that key and then get out of the way. But that's not dangerous enough. So what we're going to do is make this fireball hit things. So I want it to destroy when it hits solids, and I want it to destroy when it hits the player. Or I want there to be a collision with. So add event, collision with O power wall. So hit wall with our description, instance destroy. And I want to add a collision with the player. So O power player. And again, so we're just going into our events here. Right click, add event, collision, objects, and then find what you want to collide with. So we're colliding with a wall, colliding with a player. Kill player. So if we want to kill the other object in the collision, we're going to type in with other bracket bracket. So now we are running all of the code within this with statement inside of the other object. So if I say x plus 1, x plus 10, I'm not adding to the fireball's x and y anymore. I'm running that code within the other object. So with other, all we wanted is to destroy. So instance destroy, curly bracket, and then after we've destroyed the player, we destroy ourselves. So comment that, destroy player, destroy fireball. So let's see if that works. It should work, but it might run into a little hiccup. Because we're shooting that fireball out of the shooter, and the shooter is a O power wall child, it might hit that right away and destroy itself. Oh no! So we've made sure that the fireball is far enough away that it doesn't shoot itself. So let's just see what happens if we walk in front of it. Boom! So now the player's dead. And that's all we really wanted to get into today. We're going to clean that up eventually and make it look cool, but functionally that's exactly what we wanted to happen. Now I'll run it one more time to show you kind of what happened. Because our player collision object, our collision box is mostly just the bottom half of his body, that fireball won't hit him in the head. And it's like he knows that and he's waiting for a time. But if you just scoot up enough, that fireball hits you in the leg. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a depth, but you'll have to play with your own depths that way and make it work for your own art style. But that is all we're going to do today. We did some collisions. We made a shooter with an alarm that shoots fireballs. And eventually we'll clean that up and make little explosions. We can make that guy pop out and be bloody, or not, whatever way you want to go about it. And next time, we will be going over using that key and getting through the door to the next level. So be sure to tune in for the next one. Leave a like if you watch this whole thing and you're following along. And leave a comment if you have any questions, because I'm always glad to answer those. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.